Time to bring panel this afternoon. Grahame Morris and Bruce Hawker, our two political strategists. Thanks very much for joining us. I want to come back to some of the international issues that the Prime Minister's dealing with here in London. But just on that piece we were just watching then, same-sex marriage, we've discussed it many times. Dean Smith is going to bring on a private member's bill, Liberal senator, if it passes the Senate. And you'd think there's a good chance of that with Labor, the Greens, Xenophon, others on the crossbench, that it gets through the Senate. It then presumably has to go to the party room. Now, Grahame, here's the question. This time around, if the party room has to sit down and consider what to do here, does this become a Liberal party room vote, or are Nationals brought in as well as they were last time to make it a full coalition party room vote? Or is it just no, we've lost Grahame. We'll come back to Grahame for his thoughts on that. But Bruce, let me ask you about the Newspoll today, if I can. I was keen to get your thoughts, Bruce, on the numbers we see today. They're not really budging much, whether it's on the primary two-party or indeed the personal ratings. Why do you think things are pretty well stuck?
Oh, well, I think Tony Abbott's got a lot to do with that. I think he's Labor's best asset right now, and he continues to help. And people like Dean Smith coming out on gay marriage yet again takes the stage away from Turnbull at a time when he could be out there strutting his stuff much more effectively on the international stage. So I think all these factors combine just to keep them in a rut. And it probably suits Turnbull, it probably suits Abbott and co for that to happen, because for the longer that poll number just stays down there, the more dissatisfaction is going to potentially, and more unease is going to grow in the caucus room for the Liberals when they start looking at the pendulum and ask themselves, well, which of our members are now going to lose their seats as a result of a Prime Minister who is neither seen as being a progressive nor a conservative, but somebody who's just stuck in the middle and floundering somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some of those Newspoll results here, and we'll get Grahame's thoughts once we've sorted out that issue. But Bruce, Bill Shorten, correct me if I'm wrong, has been on holiday, he's been on leave. So, you know, doesn't need to do much, I suppose, is the point, to hold on to a pretty healthy lead in the Newspoll. In fact, he doesn't even need to be there right now to get these sort of pretty healthy numbers. I know.
Politics is a pretty cruel game, isn't it? You know, you actually go away on holidays and things pick up for yourself. So it must it must encourage a lot of politicians to say, I'll take another week or two off next time the Newspoll's due to come out. But it just goes to the point that all the focus now is on the government. No real focus is being brought to bear on the opposition, and that's great from Labor's perspective, and in a sense that's the way it should be when you're in opposition. So I can't see this changing dramatically in the foreseeable future. I really can't. I'm looking for something that will give Turnbull, you know, the edge that will allow him to, you know, to drag himself up out of the 47, 53 sort of number. And frankly, I don't see it.
Well, I think that's a fair point, Grahame. Let me bring you in on this, because I don't think same-sex marriage, even if it goes through or doesn't go through, I don't think that's going to lift Turnbull's stocks at the moment in the polls. But let me ask you about this issue. Dean Smith, the Liberal senator, is going to bring on a private member's bill in the Senate. Now, you know, arguably that has a good chance of getting through with Labor, Greens, Xenophon, other crossbenchers and so on. So then what happens? It has to be a party room decision, presumably, on whether they stick with plebiscite or allow a free vote finally. Should that be a Liberal party room meeting or a full coalition party room meeting with the Nationals, who have a far more, a far stronger position against same-sex marriage? What do you think?
Look, the coalition will be voting as a coalition, and it may well be in the party room there'd be 50-50 voices speak. But if it came to a vote, it'd be 8-1 against. You know, it's not going anywhere. The party room is not going to shift this. And, you know, this to me is another piece of stupidity. You know, the last time the coalition geniuses in Parliament decided that disunity and being all over the place was a good idea, and that they have disunity pills for breakfast, they were in opposition for 13 years. Now, we're 12 months out from really putting some detail into the election campaign, and the status quo cannot prevail. You cannot keep going with this disunity and silly blinking things put up in the party room. You know, there are a number of things which can be done. Whether or not the people, the 150 people in the parliament, have the wit to do it, I don't know.
But surely the point about whether you have a free vote on something like same-sex marriage, Grahame, is something that the Liberal Party should be able to decide on its own. I mean, why do you need the Nationals there to hold their hand with that sort of decision?
Because we're in government with a coalition. And for that matter, I don't mind, you know, if somebody can come up with a good reason why it's Liberal Party vote first, well, sort of, so what? In the end, in the Parliament, we're going to have a coalition vote. I don't know. It's a coalition in government. You know, it's just another symbol of disunity to me. That somehow or other, you know, we have a different sort of vote from the National Party, and then we're still supposed to be in coalition. I think that's